So Derek Chauvin has been released from jail on bond. Surprise, surprise! That's usually what happens when you're charged with a homicide case, when the guy dies from his own doing. Now, before I get any deeper into this video, I do want to explain that I don't think Derek Chauvin should have just kept his knee on his neck for as long as he did. I think he was perfectly restrained the way he was. But clearly his knee being on his neck is not what made him die. Over the past couple of months, there has been endless destruction from riots and protests because of one incident. That incident is George Floyd dying. Everyone who rioted and looted did so with information that was not accurate and made the decision to destroy American business owners' lives because they would way rather believe something ignorant. There were several autopsies done that stated that George Floyd died from homicide, but it's pretty clear that when you have your knee on somebody's neck, they're not gonna die from it. It's gonna suck. Like, it's gonna hurt. But it's kind of like being tasered. Yeah, it's probably one of the worst pains ever, but you're not going to die from it. But several of the autopsies showed that George Floyd did not die from asphyxiation, and rather most likely died from the fatal dose of fentanyl that was in his system. I'm sorry, did the cops inject him with fentanyl, or was that his own doing? You sure? I mean, they didn't like have a syringe there and they didn't just shoot him up while he's on the ground there? Okay, so he took the drugs himself. People saying that George Floyd died because of having a knee on his neck is pretty much the same thing as somebody getting a DUI and saying it's because they took a sip of mouthwash before they got pulled over. Yeah, maybe you did take a swig of mouthwash before you did get pulled over, and maybe it raised it a point or two, but that doesn't change the fact that you still had 15 beers earlier that night, goofball. So now that that information is available, I have one question to the people who've been rioting, protesting, and causing all the destruction. Was it worth it? Was it worth you having an ignorant thought process, not looking at the facts, and destroying the lives of business owners who probably spent their whole life building these stores, including Black American business owners? Since the death of George Floyd, the riots, all the protests have cost insurance over $2 billion in damage, in arson and vandalism, looting. Over $2 billion. Do you think that's justifiable?
Until something changed, I guess. Until something changed, I'm gonna say yeah.
Gotcha. What about you, brother?
Same. I think until something changed.
What a joke of a society we live in. Well, let me put a little twist on this for y'all who think that the rioting is justified. This year, there's been a lot of talk about reparations.
And that's what I proposed in this $14 trillion proposal. Provide reparations, not only for the sin or the atonement of the sin of slavery and...
Well, you already put a dent in that $14 trillion. How? Well, all the riots and protests have costed all of the major cities in the US over $2 billion, and there's no end in sight. And you know what the funny part is? Guess what political party Antifa and Black Lives Matter are on? The left, that's correct. Where do you think most liberals in America live? That's right, in the major cities of the US, because if they lived out in the woods and for some reason their lights went off, they wouldn't know how to start a fire. And where has 99% of the damage caused by Black Lives Matter and Antifa happened at? The big cities in the US, that's right, very good. So let me get this right. You're pissed off and you want reparations, and because of that, you're destroying where you live? I mean, look at Austin, for God's sakes. You know, us in Texas, we don't even look at Austin as a part of Texas anymore because it's more liberal than a vegan wearing a rainbow shirt. I mean, y'all are destroying your own livelihood. There's a reason why we have the process in our justice system, and it's not simply, oh, well, we did a bunch of riots, so you better just execute the guy. No. America doesn't work like that.